This is going to be another speedrun of Fuga 2, Melodies of Steel. Let's see here. There we go. Oh my god, I'm so tired. I was supposed to have a yoga class at 7 this morning, which was like 48 minutes ago. And I guess I signed up for the wrong class somehow. Which sucks, because I wasn't able to go, so I was like, I planned on speedrunning this today anyway, so I rescheduled my yoga for later, so just be a flip-flop day, I guess, which is fine. Alright kids, time for quiet. Oh, hey, Ruby Moz. I didn't see you, which means I screwed something up on my stream. So I'm going to have to fix that. Let's see here. While playing, that's going to be unideal, but whatever. Alright, we need window capture. It's all good since this is all button mashing in the beginning anyway. Alright, let's... Yep, there we go, that's fine now. Not a huge fan of messing with my OBS while I'm live, but, you know, such things happen. Whew. I guess I could have always restarted, but I don't see that it's necessary this early into the run. Especially considering an enemy hasn't even had a turn, so it's all good. Oh wait, now I have my... I screwed up my other thing. Alright, let's see if we can... Yep, alright. I just have a case of the not being awake yet. Yeah. Gots to go, kids. It's time for murdering. Oh boy. It's a pain that some of these, sacrifice a child, why not? It'll probably be faster this way. Yeah, that's what I thought. 99. You use the mana garb. You get no fucking experience points, biatch. Alright. I know what game I'm playing. Thank you, though. Chapter 1 is completed. Smashing buttons and it won't proceed. Alright, I think in this port I have to actually talk to everyone before I can leave, which is, you know, a thing. We're going to be doing our red choices first so that we can get what I think are better skills than the blue ones. I guess it really just depends on how you play the game though. If you're going to play it like with certain characters, certain skills complement them better than others, so you know. But am I awake right now? I'm gonna go with kind of. Maybe I should have some sugar or something. Yep, throw her right in the cannon. We'll just do May percent. First soul cannon kill. Just execute May and... No. It's just a joke between me and Twice Slicer. He just finds her annoying, so... He was like, you should do a May percent. He's like, that sounds hilarious and mean, but whatever. But the problem in this game is the soul cannon is random. So, you know. Might not get her on your first shot. Okay, anyways, we are proceeding. We're in a bad spot. Oh my god, Vanilla, shut the hell up. I'm messing up my fucking formation for what reason? I don't know. It doesn't really matter right now. I'm still not level 99. I have 50 hours on this game. I've beaten it like 7 or 8 times. Man, it's such a grind to get to level 99. I don't know how Punchy did it. I was like... And he said he did it without cheat engine. I was like, you have a lot more energy than I do. Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. Even with the enemies being rescaled, it's still... The first 7 chapters of this game on New Game Plus are just a hilarious joke. You just walk all over everything. But yeah, normally I have Malt behind Kyle, because that further increases his attack power, but I'll worry about messing with my team formation once I get Boron and Brits back. So those are my normal 6 people: Boron, Brits, Malt, Hack, and 2 others, I guess. I don't know. Like I said, brain damage this morning. So bad. It happens though. Fucking old people problems. Oof. People often mistake me for being younger than I am too, so I just kind of find it funny. Yeah, he probably makes money doing this, as opposed to me, who doesn't. I don't know. I don't know him very well. He's ran a couple other games that I've ran, so I'm, like, aware of him, but I know he's really busy. He mods, like, I think 40 or 50 games, so I try not to, monopolize any of his time because I know he's busy. Oh boy. Well, whatever, we got the hit anyway. It's like, I just did that wrong, but... we had a flying enemy with a freaking bazooka, so I guess we're good. I was like, oh, that enemy is gonna get a turn now. Awesome. But we're fine. I don't remember what I'm doing. I should have picked red, but whatever. Clearly I'm very skilled at speedrunning. The world's best. LOL. Lies. Oh, I'm red now. How dangerous. 99. Chick has been knocked out. Oof. I have a job interview today. Which, hopefully, we'll see what happens. I've been going on a lot of them lately, and they've been pretty not great. Like, I had an interview last week, and they're like, oh yeah, we have like a 7 interview process, and we need you to fill out this, assessment. I'm like, dude, I have 17 years of sales experience. I've never been made to interview more than 2 or 3 times, and I've never done an assessment. I was like, no thanks, bro. I'm set on that shit. Oof. But a lot of the jobs I've been applying for have been like the same day that the job application becomes available, like hundreds of applicants. So it's a sign that the economy is doing very poorly, which is not great, because right now household debt is at the highest it's ever been. So yeah. That means if and when shit does hit the fan, a lot of people are gonna lose their homes and their cars and God knows what else. But I'm a millennial. Every 8 years that pretty much happens. Whenever you let Republicans in office, you get massive financial deregulation. And of course, what comes with that is an economic fuck up. Every single time. Alright, let's get out of here. Gots to skedaddle. Adult things. Just enjoy college. I highly recommend doing that and not paying much any mind. What am I doing right now? I think I've lost my mind. Oof. Things will eventually get better, but for right now, things are kind of like, what the actual hell is going on? But, I don't know, with Biden, like, pushing 90, and his inability to string together a coherent sentence, a lot of people don't really like him. They thought he was, like, too old to be in this office, which I kind of agree with. Not trying to be like ageist, but I mean like he's pushing 90. Like, nah, I don't like that guy. He's a charity porn whore. I hope he goes bankrupt, honestly. I've never watched even one of his videos. All his freaking like thumbnails are just so like trappy. Like, I just can't stand stuff like that. The kind of guy that dangles a couple $1,000s in front of a homeless person and then is like, oh hey, you need to sign this NDA before I give you this money and consent to being filmed for however long. Like, I'm sorry, but that's a little fucked up. No thanks. Just give him the fucking money, stop being a charity porn whore, and delete your fucking YouTube. Like, I'm just not a fan of him. I'm not a fan of anybody who tries to make, like, heartwarming bullshit content so that they get social clout. I think that just makes you, a whore. Just a different kind of whore. But we all have to be at some point in our adult lives. Oof. I should have blown that thing up, but too late now. Meow. You don't know what means. Which one of my horrible words? Oh. I mean, ultimately, I don't really use it in the sense that, you know, it's like somebody trying to make money off of sexual activity. I use it more like everybody at some point in their life is going to have to compromise their morals for cash, basically. Whether that be doing something at work you don't agree with, I don't know, even if you were in the church and an ardent believer of Christ, like, there's still things, I'm sure, in the Bible that you would probably disagree with, especially in the Old Testament. You know, back when they had, like, a price in silver coins for, like, every misdeed. So, kind of explains to me that, if the Bible has a bunch of prices that you can pay to get out of, you know, like, being treated as though you're guilty in society, that's already the society we kind of have now, right? Like, the Bible isn't preaching anything better. It's saying that if you have a lot of money, you can buy your way out of all kinds of problems. Which, you know, isn't a good thing. It means that society is not fair or just. It is a dystopian hellhole where people worship CEOs and billionaires for seemingly no reason other than to kind of keep the illusion going that they can somehow be a billionaire someday. But the hilarious thing is, like, let's be real. We're in a state where like, the pandemic basically was the biggest wealth transfer in the history of the world. Like, the poor got extremely poor, the middle class lost a lot of bargaining power and jobs. And basically $3 trillion in wealth was siphoned from poor and middle class people to our good friends, the billionaires. So, not a good thing. Hence why, you know, 200 applicants per job right now. Which, like, how do you, like, honestly get noticed at that point? Like, I don't care who you are. If you have, like, a PhD in freaking nanotechnology, like, how do you stand out against 199 other people? It's really difficult because I look at it this way, like, I don't know how the computer, how that algorithm is reading my resume and what it wants to see and how it's programmed. So, getting a job that pays more than minimum wage right now is very difficult. A lot of what's happening right now is the economy is doing pretty bad. When the economy is doing bad, the power shifts from the worker to the employer. And the employer always implements shitty things when they have an excess of applicants. So they'll do things like making job applications longer, adding additional interviews to their process, rescinding job offers if they find an applicant that will do the job for cheaper. So it's kind of like a race to the bottom to see who the most desperate person is among these 200 professionals, which is fucking scummy. And that's the nicest way I can put it. Scummy as hell. But it depends on what you do with your career. A lot of people just kind of don't know what they want to do. They don't really have a plan. So they'll just take whatever job they can get first. And then this is where the tragedy comes in. Like, let's say I have 3 years of experience in sales, which I have a lot more than that. So now when I'm applying for other jobs, I have this resume with 3 years of sales on it and nothing else. Employers tend to not take you seriously if they think that you're trying to switch fields. I think that the way that they look at it is like you're not connected to this field if you want to leave it, sort of a thing. So then it kind of becomes this slippery slope of like, well, if they don't like this field, how do they know that they're going to like this new field? Maybe they just don't know what they want, blah, blah, blah. And then they're just going to assume that, like, other people that have stayed in that field probably have more passion for it, etc. So, like, you kind of get pigeonholed. It's, like, the same thing that happens to a lot of, like, character actors in Hollywood. Like, people that are in brief, like, roles and, like, sitcoms and stuff. Like, always, like, the punchline kind of person. It tends to happen a lot with chunky people. So, you know, Hollywood's just like, oh, you'll never be like a main character. You're just like the fat friend, basically. Which, kind of shitty, right? Like, but that's just how it works with the finding a job situation. They're like, well, if you don't like what you did before, like, how are you gonna like it now? Ultimately, like, I think the smartest way to go about finding a job is looking at the projections for the field in the next 5 years. You don't want to be seeking a job that is extremely saturated, because then you have all these dickheads to compete with. And sales is a very low bar for entry. Typically, they don't care if you have, like, a college degree. They only care about your past results. And a lot of places will train you in sales. Like, they don't really, like, discriminate against people with no sales background. Because a lot of your job is just talking to people. It's talking to your clients, making sure that they get what they need. It's talking to customer service to make sure that if the client needs something, that it's being handled correctly. And it's a lot of knowing all the processes in between when you sell the account and when the client is delivered the goods. For instance, I've worked in a lot of, like, service-based industries. A lot of my experience is in healthcare, specifically with regard to insurance. So it's kind of it's a tricky thing to describe insurance. You're basically selling a product to someone that is intangible. It's not a good. I can't go to the grocery store and pick up a box that says insurance on it and have a cashier scan me out, or buy it off Amazon and have it shipped to my house. Well, yeah, mainly I do insurance. Specifically, my specialty is with regard to dual special need programs. Those are persons that qualify for both Medicare and Medicaid. And so you have to know a lot about a lot of things. You have to know how Medicaid works. You have to know how Medicare works. And you have to know how your health plan works in accordance with the other two situations. So a lot of it is like looking up clients, doctors, and making sure they're covered in the plan. Looking up each of their medications and making sure that they're still affordable for the client at the time of purchase. It gets ultra complicated ultra quickly. Yeah, nighty-night, kids. Which is why a lot of people globally, like, think the United States is a fucking joke, because we can't figure out how to insure our you know, people. Here's the problem, like, there are a multitude of insurance companies. I've worked for most of them at this point. I've worked for Humana, United Healthcare, and Aetna. The other big one that I didn't mention is Blue Cross Blue Shield. Those are like the big four insurance companies. I know what all their products are because I've had to look at what my competition sells and compare it to what I sell in order to convince clients to switch their insurance over to the product that I'm selling at that current point in time. So, again, knowing a lot of different things about a lot of different things. Kind of like jack of all trades stuff. Shazam. I am not exploring these ruins. We must go, children. We must hurry. Some evil dude is resurrecting some evil power and trying to destroy the world. Nothing cliche about that. I forget what tangent I was going off on. I'm old. I talk for like half an hour. I forget what the hell I was talking about, and then I just end up at ground zero. It's really bad. Not always, just I woke up early and I did not get enough sleep. And I still somehow missed my damn yoga class. I was like, what the fuck? Oh my god. I love my yoga class. As you get old, you kind of lose, like, a lot of range of motion. And yoga is a great way to get that back. And it's also awesome for your skin, so. But yeah. I think mostly what the overarching theme was is that right now the economy is bad. It's very hard to get a job, even among industry professionals with a lot of specialized experience. Like, I'm still coming up against jobs that are like, oh yeah, 200 other people already applied for this shit. And I'm like, this job application has existed for one freaking day. Like, surely some of those resumes are not gonna qualify for that job. But most people aren't sitting there applying for jobs that they have no business applying for. Like, I'm not gonna go apply to be a doctor at a hospital because I'm pretty sure they're gonna call the whatever college I put down on my resume and check to see if I actually fucking, you know, have a doctorate. You'd hope, but sometimes HR, you know, is so busy. Being that typically you only hire 1 to 2 human resource officers per 100 employees. So you have to think about, like, you have to be helping your existing 100 employees and helping managers navigate the hiring process for new hires. So you're having, you know, one person essentially be responsible for hundreds of people. They obviously don't have their eye on the ball all the time. They do what they can with the limited time and resources that they are given by their employer. Whatever you can feasibly actually do within that time frame. Oof. But that's the same with any job. Like, a lot of jobs are impossible. Like, most of the impossible jobs, too, in my opinion, are like, I'm a police officer, or I'm a nurse. Stuff like that. Like, can you imagine, like, the police get paid less money out of, the academy than pretty much any job that would require college for. So if I went to college, for instance, which I did, I've already met, like, the requirement in most states, if not every single state, to be a police officer. I've exceeded those expectations in most states, because a lot of police are not college educated. A lot of them are ex-military personnel. So, I'm not saying anything negative about cops. I'm just saying, like, that's an impossibly hard job. It pays very low, and it doesn't require a lot of education. So, do you want to be making $45,000 a year, having to potentially work outside, work on weekends, work in the dark, trying to, you know, go call to call, especially in like really crime-riddled areas, to, you know, essentially like try and stop crime as it's occurring for $45,000 a year to start? Like, when, I don't know, if I have an English degree, for instance, I can get a lot of entry-level base jobs that start at like $50K a year. Like, yeah, I'll have some student loans, but the corporate ladder tends to have more rungs to climb than in the government sector. I used to work for the government. You can only really climb so high until you need to get elected into a position to make more money. So, with police, like, detectives can make really good money. But if you're, like, just a normal cop on the beat, you're not gonna have any such, you know, ridiculous salary when you retire. The offset to the low wages of government jobs, though, tends to be pensions, which basically no longer exist in the public sector, in, like, a normal, like, corporate job. So, do I have Brits yet? I do. Alright, we should maybe be fine? I don't know. Let's see what happens. Why didn't I just use the mana garm? What am I doing right now? Lost my flippin' mind. Yeah, that's... I already rectified that. I'm like, why have I not used the mana garm? Oh yeah, I'm dumb. Oh well. I only moved twice, so it's not too bad. Let's go. But, yeah, having a pension is nice, of course. Because it's basically fully funded retirement. And police, oftentimes, if you stay in that field for like 20 to 30 years, you can actually get double payouts on your pension. So it's really great if you make it to retirement without being injured or killed. Which most police officers obviously do, but given that the social situation in the US is kind of not great, especially between like the black community and police, the gay community and police, a lot of people kind of fucking hate you, just out of nowhere. They don't need any context, all they have to do is turn the news on and police shot ex-black dude, police shot, you know, some lady that was visiting her friend and didn't understand that they were a drug dealer. Like, police are humans, they make mistakes. And from a psychological standpoint, I actually used to work in a public health office that gave like light psychology lessons to first responders after traumatic incidents, such as like somebody died in a fire, you know, when you're a firefighter, or, you know, you had to shoot someone as a police officer. What tends to happen with people that are repeatedly exposed to trauma is that they have this center in the brain, the fear center is called your amygdala, and it increases in size over and over and over again, like, after all these traumatic instances occur. So, their trigger finger, it starts to want to pull, like, more and more frequently, like, the danger you're perceiving, especially as you get older, like, okay, I have a wife now I have a wife and kids, like, you're doing everything you can to get home to your family that you care for, that you're supporting with your job. So, you're not taking any chances on being murdered. You're just gonna pull the trigger first and ask questions later. And I think it's a really difficult situation to think about for somebody who's not a police officer. But they don't want to give a lot of people, like, the benefit of the doubt or whatever. You know, you did this bad thing, you're an evil person now. There's no forgiveness, really. So, becomes kind of problematic when the people that you're meant to protect and serve fucking actively hate you. So, but I mean, like, that high level of a job, like what I was trying to get at before, is you have to essentially be like a lawyer. Like, how do you get paid as a police officer enforcing laws, like, is a fake lawyer sort of thing? It's crazy. Yeah, that can be helpful too. But also sometimes it's a pain in the butt. Because Kyle, if I have, no, you're fine, don't worry. What was I saying? Anyways, we're gonna blow those things up so we don't have to fight them. Raid. Let's get rid of that. And the other one. There we go. I'm really good at losing my track of thought when I'm playing video games. But yeah, I think what I was trying to explain is that, like, it's a really hard job. You have to have a lot of different kinds of skills. You're not going to get paid very well. The whole kind of point of doing that job is to hope that you'll have a nice, long, steady retirement. But sometimes you don't get that. You know, sometimes you get murdered on the job or permanently injured in such a way that you cannot do your job any further. School teachers also, that's another impossibly difficult job. So again, like in that situation, I went to college. I pulled out on average, I don't know what, $40,000 worth of debt. I'm making $45,000 a year. I'm paying 5% interest on my loans. So just do like a calculator, like a simple income calculator, and you'll see really fast that if you owe an entire year's worth of your salary, it's going to be really hard to pay that off because you're going to have other expenses. You're going to have to pay rent, you're going to have to pay insurance through your paycheck, you're presumably going to have a car payment and insurance that goes along with your car as well. On top of that, you have to feed yourself, pay your utilities, and still go to work. Like, and if you get sick, you have limited days off. There's limited, like, what is it called? Substitute teachers. So it's a lot of, like, pain in the ass for not a lot of money. Not only that, but you're beholden to a bunch of douchebags. You have to deal with parent-teacher associations. You have to deal with the administration at the school, such as the principal and vice principal. You're beholden to the administration that's outside of the school, which is going to be like your superintendents. And superintendents are usually persons that are elected that have a doctoral degree, that don't have any experience in education, and they're the most powerful person in your school district telling, you know, the teachers what to do. And they oftentimes, you know, if you have a PhD, that took you, like, probably 4 to 8 years of higher education. That's a master's degree, that's everything that comes with a graduate degree for a PhD, and then usually postdoctoral studies. So these people are fucking full of themselves, and they're telling you, somebody who's actually done this job before, how to do your fucking job when they've never done your job. They don't know what the fuck it is you probably even do. They're just fucking, I don't know, man. And they get paid way too much money. They get paid like $300,000 a year, like a fucking doctor. It's pretty bad. Oof. But at least you have some level of job security, because teachers are in a union. Unions are largely dead in the corporate space. So at least there's job security, but Superintendents, I don't think they do anything, honestly. They just get paid a shitload of money to be a pedantic asshole. I'm sure you could Google their job responsibilities. A lot of it's probably like back and forthing in between like the state and shit like that. Making sure that the school is complying with all the educational requirements. Just shit like that. Like high-level strategic management in the background that doesn't look like anything to anybody who hasn't done it before, sort of a thing. Whoopsie, wrong skill. But, oof. Like, teachers have like a 0% fucking retention rate right now. Like, nobody wants to do this job. Like, just imagine, like, you have 30 kids in a room. You have to somehow keep these 30 kids who are psychologically, like, what is the term? Egocentric, which means they only give a shit about themselves, because that's just how the brain is when you're at those ages. So some kids that only give a shit about themselves, you have to keep them calm. You have to teach them something. You have to prevent the kids from failing the class. Not only that, you have to go home and take all this homework done. You're beholden to a bunch of bullshit with state tests. Schools, a lot of their funding is based off of how these state tests are, you know, graded. So if the teachers are not doing a great job preparing kids for these tests, a lot of teachers can be let go, or your school will receive less funding, thusly making it a shittier place to work. So, just being a teacher is like a fucking nightmare, honestly, in my opinion. One of my friends did it for a couple years, and she just fucking hated it. Like, she just... hate is the best word I can give for that. Oof. But yeah, being a teacher is rough. Very, very rough. And then, I mean, like, amidst all that shit, you have these bad economic circumstances which are creating desperate people. Desperate people tend to, you know, pull out guns and do drastic shit. So you end up with a lot of effing problems when stuff like that starts happening. It's just a hot mess. And then, you know, you have like parents that are like, oh, why didn't my child get an A? You know, and it's like, why isn't the parent on the teacher's side trying to help their kids become better people? Instead, kind of like the way that they view it is, oh, it's just easier if I, you know, attack the teacher to give my child good grades, like, which makes no sense. Like, a lot of parents, I think, don't understand that good grades don't mean jack shit half the time. Like, your company, like, back to my HR example, your HR person doesn't have time to call every new hire's college to double check that they actually went there and, like, got the grades that they put on their resume. That's why lying on resumes is rampant. Like, it just happens all the freaking time, because why wouldn't you? Like, knowing that information, why are you gonna waste your time trying to be like the most, what's the word, like, I don't know, ethical candidate when these companies themselves are not being particularly ethical? You know, they're not paying you a living wage in most situations. So it's like, why not just fake it until I make it, sort of a thing? I'll just try to learn that stuff on the job. Fights between kids, I mean, difficult to describe. I think it makes a lot of sense in a lot of very unfortunate ways. Again, it kind of goes back to that desperation situation. Like, if I'm poor like, let's say my dad loses his job. My dad's probably going to be on edge, right? He's going to be stressed the fuck out. He just lost his job. He's not sure if he's still able to provide money for their family. This could be a mom, too. I'm not trying to be, like, sexist or whatever. But realistically, it's like, you know, you're probably in a really tense situation, especially because a lot of people right now can't, like I just saw the other day an article that said like 50% of everyone can't afford a $500 emergency. So that means that half of the people out there are living paycheck to paycheck. So if you immediately lose your paycheck, that means you could immediately lose your home or your apartment, because guess what? You can't afford it anymore. If you don't have any money to give, they just fucking kick you into the street. Like, there's not a lot of programs to help people that are in bad situations, unfortunately. So how does that relate back to the kids? Well, if shit's tense at home, like, they're probably not getting enough sleep or enough food. They might be, you know, having a lot of additional stresses thrown on them. And that's going to lead to tension with other classmates and with teachers. You know, if you're depriving someone of sleep and food, see how polite they are after 5 or 6 days of that, let alone months, because the average time it takes to get to go from unemployed to having a job is like 30 to 40 days from time of application. So if I apply for a job today and it takes me 40 days to get a new job, and I only have $500 in my bank account and my mortgage for my house, realistically, like literally my mortgage for my house is $1,200 a month. If I only had $500 in my account, what do you think is going to happen? The bank isn't going to be my best friend. Like, they're going to be tense. They want their fucking money. Like, so they're going to eventually auction off my house. And while you're going through all that shit, like, it's going to just have tension. Lots and lots of tension. So, when you become feeling like that hopeless, what is it you think that people are going to do moving forward? Are they going to be upstanding, perfect members of society, or are they going to make some mistakes? And I mean, if you don't have money or a job, you also don't have health insurance. So your mental health isn't being treated. You're eventually going to start creating issues. It's unfortunate, but it's true, and I think a lot of people don't care because they're in the same boat as everybody else. Like, you know, if 50% of people can't afford anything, really, like, where are you at that point? It's pretty bad. Everybody's in the same boat as you, so it's like, I don't have any empathy for your problems because I have the same fucking problems. I don't have time to worry about your shit when I'm about to lose my house or whatever, you know? So it gets muy complicado. And it's especially worse because there's a lot of socio-economic factors at play for these kids. So, like, you know, the poor kids at school or the extremely poor kids, depending on, you know, the socioeconomic status of the kids around them. And I'll just use myself as like a real life example. I grew up in like a tiny country town, and my parents were like scraping by. They never had like tons of extra money to spare if something went wrong. So we just kind of like had to pivot through financial issues, sort of a situation, the best that we could. And thankfully we were never like homeless or anything that was like that bad. But I remember times where like kids would make fun of me because I didn't have like name brand clothing, because I went to like a school where the socioeconomic status on average was higher than what we made. So it created tense situations between me and other kids, because they're like, oh, why can't you afford these nice clothes that everybody else, you know, has at this school? So you get treated differently. And it creates tension with other kids because they're like, ew, you're gross. You're not wearing, like, Armani to school or whatever. Like, mostly at my school at the time, it was Abercrombie and Fitch, but I digress. Like, if you have a kid that's, like, fucking stressed out because their parent's situation is not great, and now all of a sudden you're, like, also the poor kid with the crappy clothes, you've got other kids treating you like shit because you're the easy target. Like, and everybody has bad days, and everybody eventually is probably not nice to somebody. And sometimes it's not even on purpose. Like, going back to what I was saying before, kids are egocentric. It's literally a psychological, like, situation. It's well known. Like, just Google it. Egocentrism just means I only care about myself for the most part. And if you only care about yourself, like, you don't have a lot of empathy, so you're probably not thinking your actions are wrong in that given moment, especially if everyone's, like, dogpiling on the poor kid for not having fancy clothes. So, just becomes added layers of stress. And then, like, think about, like, all these negative things impacting your life as a kid, and now you're, like, also, like, getting yelled at by your parents because you're not getting good grades, because you're not getting enough sleep, because you're not getting enough food, because you're getting bullied by the other kids, because you don't have enough money to wear the fancy clothes. It's just all, like, a shitload of stress for a fucking child to go under. It's bananas, to say the very least. And I've actually worked for the state in the capacity of working for DCS, Department of Children and Family Services, basically. It's called different things in different states. So I've literally, like, removed children kicking and screaming from their home from, like, meth mommy. But most of the shit that happens in that world is just neglect. Like, mommy works 2 jobs to keep a roof over her kid's head. Like, she doesn't have time to take her kid to soccer practice, you know, so the kid doesn't get to socialize with kids outside of school, thusly not building their social skills or any, you know, potential, like, athletic skills, team building that happens in sports, etc. So you're disadvantaging that child a ton, and it's just all, like, happenstance. It's not really anything that the kid can control, or the parent, really. It's just a lot of additional pressure for no reason other than you were born in the circumstances you were born in. Problematic. And realistically, I have a degree in public health, and I've worked for the government in that capacity as well. The highest period of suicides that are going to happen, age bracket wise, are going to be like your middle school age to your pre-graduating college age. And it's because kids are a little bit more impulsive, and they're not as good as seeing, like, how life can get better for them over time. So, problematic. Very problematic, to say the least. Alright, let's move him over here. It's a hot mess, like, and there's not much society can do about it, and nobody cares because it's not their fucking problem either. Like, your kid starving because you don't have a good enough job, like, how is that my problem as an individual? Like, I mean, I can make it my problem by working in that field, but a lot of people don't want to add additional stresses to their already extremely stressed out lives, and I think it makes a lot of sense why. Like, what's the point of fucking torturing yourself? I just need to use the Managarm. What am I doing? But I can tell you that the system is completely broken when it comes to child welfare. So, like, let's just say we have a dime a dozen neglectful parent. They probably weren't always neglectful. Neglect is just basically like not paying attention to your kid. So, one real story that we had to deal with in Arizona was we have a mom who's working 2 jobs, literally, just to keep a roof over her and her kid's head. Totally normal thing, it happens. And she's tired. She's been sleep deprived. She doesn't get days off because she's working 7 days a week. So she starts letting things slip around the house. Stops doing laundry as often. Starts being able to sleep through her baby crying, which annoys her neighbors, which call DCFS, which prompt, strangers to show up to your house to investigate that situation. And it gets really out of control really fast. Like, if I go into a house and I find cockroaches and a bunch of empty liquor bottles, the baby's like sitting in its own filth and screaming, like, it's not a great situation. In that case, in this person's bad couple of months, when one of their, fellow, like, neighbors ratted them out, now they're gonna have to go through the added stress of having their child taken away. The DCFS is gonna recommend a bunch of services for you to get your kids back, and you already don't have time to do this shit because you're working 2 jobs. So it becomes very fucked up very quickly. Like, how do you better yourself, pull yourself out of depression on your own, with barely enough money to survive, when the government's trying to take your fucking child away from you, when it's really hard to find a job right now, so if she loses her second job, like, due to having to complete all these services to get her kid back, I mean, that just compounds the despair, the depression, the fucking absolute fucked upness of this entire world. Like, you start to feel like the world doesn't give a shit about you, and what do you do then? Like, a lot of people, especially in that age bracket I was referring to before, if you don't care about anyone else or yourself, you're probably gonna do something not good. Problematic. Very problematic. You have people shooting into frickin' crowds, you have people bringing guns to school. I mean, a lot of this can be solved by simply not allowing the billionaire class to accumulate so much wealth that it literally, like, fucks with everybody else in society to a completely negative degree. Like, if everybody had income stability, and there were more regulations on people not being able to be fired for basically no goddamn reason, things like that. Should have probably destroyed that thing's armor. Well, we'll do it now. It's a hot, steaming mess. I think the only way that you can fix it is to emulate societies that are doing a better job than the US, which is going to be like, I don't know, let's say Canada or France, I think are really good examples from a public health statistics standpoint, meaning that the people that live in those countries tend to have less stress in their lives because the taxes that they're paying are paying for their insurance. It's not an additional expense being pulled out of their freaking account, basically, outside of just taxes. Oof. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Cosmo, why are you barking? Why are you barking, baby boy? Honey, I walked and fed you. Think you can survive. Think you'll be okay. Where the hell is Malt? I got my people all screwed up. There we go. Oh yeah. I'm gonna do that once he's closer to half-life, because this boss won't die with 1 mana garm. So I'm gonna get him as close to that little, like, spot in the center of his health bar that you can see, and then I'll use the mana garm, because because that'll take him down to his last couple of hits. If I use it immediately in the fight, the problem will be that he immediately gets another turn right after he goes past the 50% health threshold, and then he'll automatically respawn. Actually, I think I just fucked up his gun, which is not good, because now I have to kill his gun again before I can use the mana garm and finish him off, which is what I was trying to avoid, but oh well. Shit happens. Oh, actually, it didn't happen yet. He's got one more turn. Let's see. In the next fight with him, that's actually the problem. Not this fight, but still. It's time to wipe this motherfucker off the face of the earth. Bye-bye. It's a wild, crazy world we live in, and I feel like school does not prepare you for this. Like, school doesn't teach you how to do your taxes. School doesn't teach you how to find a job. School isn't going to teach you how to manage your finances. But it is going to teach you a bunch of useless shit across a bevy of different fields of study. And I think part of the reason for that design is so that you have the ability to know of a lot of different kinds of ventures that you could go down. It's kind of like an awareness situation, but if you don't know how to manage your finances, like, chances are you're gonna abuse what your money is at certain points to a negative degree. Like, for instance, I don't know, let's say I just never learned how to cook, and I'm just eating fast food all the time. I'm eating fast food at lunch while I'm at work, I'm eating it on my way home after work, going to sleep. You know, like, all my time is basically occupied, especially if I live far away from work. To use myself as a real-life example, I used to drive 2 hours to work and back every day because I found myself in a bad situation where I knew I was going to lose my job, and I just took the first thing I could find, and it wasn't an ideal situation, but neither is being homeless, so I took the lesser of two evils in that scenario. Especially since, like, my family, like, kicked me out of the house for being gay when I was, like, 18. So I didn't really feel like I could rely on them in the event that shit went bad. So I just did shit to survive that wasn't obviously, like, in the best interest of my mental health. So in those days, I'm, like, working just a shitload. So let's say even if I was just working 8 hours a day, I need to sleep 8 hours a day, so that leaves only 8 hours a day for leisure. But when I have 4 hours a day being taken up by me trying to, should have switched to Kyle. What am I doing? Should be fine though. What in the hell was I saying? I don't even know. Oh yeah. But, like, let's say that leaves me 4 hours a day just to, like, handle other affairs. That could be a popped tire, which is going to be more frequent now that I am driving so much extra. That could be somebody hits my car. That could be going on dates. You know, like, all that time that you have to, like, keep your mental health doing well is now just gone. So it wears you down over very long periods of time, even over short periods of time if you're not well adapted to dealing with stress. Like, it's gonna fuck you up for a while until you either A, get used to it, or B, burn out. And most people, they just fucking burn out. Like, burning out is no bueno. But it happens to us all at some point in our lives, which speaks to the fact that life is hard, and then you fucking die, basically. It just is what it is. And then, like, I pity, like, heterosexuals more often than not, like, Because now, you, like, imagine, like, you're adding a child into this that you have to keep alive. Like, that gets problematic. Like, when you get very few days off in the US, there's mostly just unpaid maternity leave. And even if you do get your maternity leave paid for, you only get 60% of your salary while you're on maternity leave. It's only a couple of months. And your child isn't going anywhere, like once you are forced to go back to work. The child's still at home. Now you're adding in, like, if you have a 2 working parent household, you have to pay for daycare up until the age of 6 or 7. Now not only do I have to drive to and from my work, I have to drive to and from my kids' daycare. And if anything outside of the normal happens during that time, like I get sick and I don't have enough days off left to use at my job and I get fired, like, there's just such a compounding, like, effect on your life. Like, if you're having a bad time and you add a kid into that, let's just say it's by fucking accident. Like, you just like having sex. Sex is fun, right? Like, who doesn't want to do that every once in a while? Only like 1% of the population at max is asexual. So the other 99% of us are going to probably want to enjoy that hobby every once in a while. And, you know, sometimes mistakes happen. Like, oops, I came inside her or something. Like, not ideal. Hopefully she doesn't get pregnant. Oh shit, she's not having her period anymore. Now I have an extra mouth to feed. I have to figure out how I'm gonna absorb these additional expenses. And I might be living paycheck to paycheck too. It's gonna get really fucking complicated really quick, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. And if I neglect my child or divorce my wife and not pay child support, the government is gonna come after me at some point and start taking money out of my paycheck. So it's really hard to get away from your problems. In a lot of ways, you just deal with whatever you created in this world, and nobody's gonna have any sympathy for you for the most part, because they got their own fucking problems. So it's a lot of work. Life is work. Life is hard. Then you die. It's that simple. Well, abortion is largely a good thing for society in general. There's this book I read called Freakonomics, and it was a bunch of economists that wanted to study interesting things. So one of the things that they studied was they did this, like, regressive analysis of crime since Roe v. Wade was implemented. And basically, after using like 30 years of research data, they had found that crime had decreased substantially once it became legal for women to get an abortion. Now, why do you think that is? Let's say I'm 18. I'm not ready to have no motherfucking child at 18. I'm still a child at 18. Like, I don't think people should be like, you're automatically an adult at fucking 18. Because no the fuck you aren't. You might like to think it in your brain, but you haven't had a lot of experiences, especially with regard to stress, because your parents are handling a lot of that shit for you in the background. If they're not neglecting you. Which they might be. I don't know. It's a lot. Oof. But basically these economics professors figured out, you know, like I already said, crime is reduced a ton when you're not forced to have kids that you don't want. And I mean, think about it. Like, if I'm forced to have a child I don't want, I'm going to be a little pissed, right? It may be the government. It may be my partner for getting me pregnant. My financial situation at being 18, making minimum wage, flipping burgers without a college degree. So, problematic. Like, I might resort to a life of crime to get by. And it might not even be big crimes. Like, let's just say I can't afford to feed my kids and I choose to steal some food. I get away with it once. There's like this rush of endorphins that happens. Like, oh, thank God I got away with this. And let's say I just get addicted to the rush of being a thief. I start doing bigger and bigger things because now I'm like, oh, look at all this shit I got away with. I might be able to get away with this too now. Eventually, you get caught. And then you go to jail. And then DCFS takes your kids away. And to get out of jail, they're going to make you get a job. And they're going to put you in a halfway house after you get out of jail. And the only people hiring convicts are minimum wage employers. So now I'm flipping burgers, trying to get my kid back, working 2 jobs. Like, how the fuck do you escape this without just shooting yourself in the face? Like, I mean, it seems like it's a lot less cruel to shoot yourself in the face at that point. I don't know. I don't view, like, people who end up in positions where they're worried about taking their lives because of the fact that life is hard and then you die anyway. Like, I don't view it as a bad thing. Like, sometimes people are in fucked up situations that they're never going to be able to escape, so they just take that way out. And I really hate it when people are like, oh, suicide's like the easy way out or whatever. I'm like, how is it easy for somebody to decide that this world is so fucked up that they'd rather just not be in it? Like, how did you come to that conclusion, you actual piece of shit? Like, but that's how it is. A lot of people, again, it just goes back to that whole I only care about my own fucking problems thing. Oof. Everything in this world has been purposely manufactured to strip people of power so that rich people can have perpetual wealth at our expense. So I just really, really, really dislike the fact that wealth can be attained and essentially passed on in perpetuity with very little taxes or fees being associated with that. Because it just concentrates the wealth into one person's or a couple people's hands while everybody else struggles. It's fucked up. The fact that our laws allow for all this, when they used to not actually allow for all this bullshit, just speaks to the fact that our government is completely corrupt and bought and paid for by corporate lobbyists. Like, this is literally a job. Like, here's what lobbyists do. They're paid a shitload of money to maintain a residence, essentially, in Washington, D.C., and to have conversations with lawmakers in order to get them to put legally nefarious shit into bills that has nothing to do with whatever the bill is. So, massively, massively problematic. Like, a company is going to pay me more money than I'd make as a doctor in some circumstances to go and bribe politicians and get our shit put into laws. There isn't a single politician in the United States that hasn't taken corporate lobbying money. Every single fucking politician in our entire country has taken lobbying money. So, re-election campaigns are really expensive to run. I gotta buy a bunch of signs that people can put in their yard for free. I've got to do some ads on, network TV so that people can hear about me. A lot of getting elected is simple name recognition. So, let's say I was just a normal dude, maybe a school teacher. I'm not gonna have a couple extra $100,000 in my bank account to run for president or whatever. So I basically look for funding. That funding is mostly going to come from corporate lobbying. And the whole situation is like, you don't want this person or entity that's giving you money so that you can keep your job in politics to be unhappy, because then they'll just fund somebody else. Someone who will do what they tell them to. So, what are you going to do? You're just going to keep taking the money. You're going to throw your ethics or your morals out the window, and you're gonna fucking do what they tell you to so you can keep your goddamn job. Like, that's what's gonna actually happen. So what happens in politics when every single fucking person has been paid off? Like, probably the corporations are getting what they want. That's my guess. I would say it's a fairly educated guess. I wouldn't even say it's a guess. I'd say it's been outright fucking proven, but a lot of people don't want to believe in negative shit. Like, they want to remain optimistic. They want to think like they can conquer the world, like their mommy and daddy told them. You can be anything you want to be. No, you can't. Your potential is severely limited by your genetics in a lot of different cases. Like, if I have Down syndrome, I'm probably not going to be able to be the CEO of Disney someday. It's probably just not in the cards for me. And as that child, like, I didn't even ask to be born in this world, right? Now I have a bunch of problems that I don't understand. And can't get out of myself. Now my parent, like, I probably have to now have a parent that stays at home full time to take care of me, which limits the income potential of that family. Shit gets complicated really fast. And let's say it's not even Down syndrome. Let's say it's just like you're born with a crooked spine. It's never going to heal. It causes you pain and anguish for the rest of your life. And you don't have any mental, disability that's going to cause you to not understand how fucked up your situation actually is. So suicide is probably not on the minds of most children with Down syndrome, I would say, but I might be wrong, given that their mental capacities are limited. But if my mental capacities are not limited and I'm disabled, and there's not a lot of help out there for me or my family, and now one of the breadwinners has to stay home all the time to take care of me, me as that kid, wondering, like, what job am I going to get later in life? Like, suicide might be something you think about at some point. So we live in a very complicated and fucked up world. All across the board. And I mean, as you get older, your ability to bounce back from shit decreases. You start to heal slower. Your mental capacities decrease as you get older, typically. So, life is just wearing you down permanently after a certain point. Like, and now you also have to have saved up enough money over your entire lifespan to retire, which most people are unable to do when they're living paycheck to paycheck, because there aren't a lot of good jobs. So a lot of older people in this country kind of die on purpose. Like, they run out of money, they want to leave their kids some kind of an inheritance. Maybe that's their house, maybe that's just a couple $1,000s in their bank account, or their car, or whatever else. Like, you get into that situation and it's like, do I want to keep living, being sick, and not having any money, and just existing, watching TV with my brain rotting for 24 hours a day? Like, so a lot of older people, they'll get sick and they'll be like, put me on a DNR, a do not resuscitate, meaning if I lose consciousness outside of my will and it's not just sleep, you can just leave those paddles in the box. Don't charge them up, don't try to save me, don't give me blood transfusions, etc. Like, I'm 87, I don't have any good years left, I'm running out of money, I want to pass that money on to my kids and my kid's kid, so I'm just gonna choose to die at that point, which is what a lot of people do. Oof. America, yeah, exactly. Greatest country in the world, kid. If you don't like it, though, you can just leave. Sure, where am I going? Most countries aren't accepting those that are immigrating to another country unless they have skills that are beneficial to that country. Most of the time, it is impossible to get a job in another country unless you have a skill that that country wants to have. These are things like engineers, doctors, etc. They do not want you if you want to fucking come work for McDonald's in their country. There's actually this whole, like, thing, too. It's basically like golden ticket capitalism, where countries will let you in if you've invested a certain amount of money in businesses in their economy. So again, it's like the whole game is rigged for rich people to win forever, sort of a thing. Yeah. Help my economy. Doom forever. But yeah, every day, the vast majority of our population in this fucked up world decides that they want to keep living, so that at least gives me hope. Does it give me hope, or is it more like people do this because they're actually an animal and they're, you know, their instinct is not to fucking die? So I don't know if it's mental fortitude or just straight up freaking impulse. He's like a really old Gen X, like the oldest of the old Gen X's. Well, he's a complete scumbag. He pretends that he, like, runs all these companies off his own intelligence, when he actually doesn't. He's actually a piece of shit. But a lot of people look up to him because he has a shitload of money, and most people are like, wow, it'd be fucking great if I had some extra money. And then they start thinking like, oh, all I have to do is like work really hard for Elon, and he'll eventually make me like, I don't know, a vice president for his company, making $900,000 a year or something crazy, more than a doctor would. But it's a pyramid scheme. Like, there's only one CEO for a company, and Elon is CEO for 6 different companies. Is that because he's smart enough to run them all, or is that because, like, who in the fuck has the propensity or the time to run that many businesses? Literally nobody. So, but he claims to, like, be able to do it all, and it makes him look really good. Like, that's his whole PR strategy. Every company has a PR strategy. It's basically to look good so that people trust you enough to buy your products. Or services, whatever. Gotta have a PR strategy, even as just a normal-ass human being. Like, you can't make money without working, so you gotta look good to the people that might hire you. But what happens in a time where, like I was saying before, I'm living in an age where if I'm on LinkedIn, a job comes into, like, the market, and there's 200 freaking applications on it after it's been open for like 2 or 3 hours. Like, do you start to kind of give up and be like, fuck this, I'd rather just do something else with my time instead of pounding my head against my desk hoping somebody's gonna notice my resume in a pile of hundreds of resumes? It gets really not good for your mental health for long periods of time to be stuck in situations like that. Things will get better and worse. That's the thing. When you're living in a bad situation, did you have the opportunity to prepare for it? Yeah, you probably did. That is just how it be. What the hell is going on? Alright, there we go. So it's gonna get worse in the short term. It's basically like, just Google, like, how cyclical the economy is. It follows a pattern. So, I don't know, 7 years happen, we reach the top of an economic pinnacle, and then we ride that shit down for another however many years. And eventually it's gonna get better, you just don't know when. So you try to prepare for these periods of time in which there's an unknowable period of time where shit's not gonna be great. So you saved up, you know, some money or whatever, blah blah blah. And you just hope for the best at that point. But hope won't keep you alive when you're in a bad situation for 5 years, you know? Nobody's planning for 5 years worth of fuckery, for the most part. So, you have to make compromises. You move back in with your parents, you take a job at McDonald's just to barely scrape by. You drive for Uber on the side. Or even worse, like, you start dating people for the wrong reasons. For maybe you know somebody who's really rich and you're all of a sudden, you know, now willing to compromise what you'd normally be looking for a partner for some fucking cold hard cash. Like, oh, it's all good. Have a good day at school, because I presume that's probably where you're going. Life is interesting. Very interesting. Alright, buddy, time to die. Woo woo! That sounds like fun. It's actually been really nice out here recently. We just got back from Denver, and the weather was basically perfect. It rained a little bit, but not very much. What are we on now? Chapter 8 or 9? Chapter 9. I want to beat this game in sub 2:30. So if I can beat the game in an hour and 3 minutes roughly, I will have enacted my goal. Achieved my goal, rather. Enacted. I don't know. Losing a level after your death? Did you just die in an SMT game or something? Playing Nocturne 3? Oh, I got you. Yeah, it sucks when you have to redo stuff. It's not my favorite thing either. Oh, that kind of sucks. Yikes. So it's actually less favorable, like the higher level that you are. That sounds cruel and unusual. Gotcha. What am I doing? I just need to mana garm these bitches. Goodbye, beachies. You will not be missed. You will be blown up into a mist. Gotta love the English language. I missed my shot. The mist outside is encroaching. Sounds like exactly the same word, but they're spelled differently. Tee hee, ho ho, let's motherfucking go. Gotta get this game beat, or else I will get no treat.
So sad, need to kill them all.
Yeah, fuck this. I'm gonna blow your ass up. Children bullets. Super effective. Yeesh. Need more water. Seriously, every Japanese game ever. God is just a pain in our ass. Let's kill it. I don't blame them, honestly. Like, especially like if you have like an Eastern mentality and you're looking at like Western religions, like, yeah, let's just go kill that guy. He sounds bipolar and an asshole. He's like, oh, if you do one of these 10 arbitrary things, I'm gonna fucking throw you into actual hell. Like, wasn't life hard enough, like, without having to look forward to a fucking perpetuity in hell? Like, goddamn, that's fucked up. Somebody really manipulative and shitty must have came up with that. Like a pope or something. That shit be a cult. Run, bro. Fucking run. That shit ain't good for my mental health. Oh, just because I smoked a couple poles, I guess I'm gonna have to tickle Satan's anus with my penis while it's on fire in hell for 9 trillion years or something. Until time is unmade. Due to a couple hundred years, not even a couple hundred, a couple decades of being a slut or whatever. Get the fuck out of here. Shit is terrible.
Shit is ridiculous. Oh my fucking god.
But he loves you. He loves you. But he's willing for you to, for time immemorial, be a scapegoat for whatever pisses him off. Like, who could envision that there could be a perfect afterlife when something like Satan exists? Like, that just blows my mind. Like, even the very concept of, like, here's Satan. Really? Like, that's what you came up with. Like, there's this perfect, all-knowing, loving being, but he created Satan. Tells me everything I need to know right there. Bad religion, run away immediately. Just because somebody sucked my fucking dick once in a fucking back alley while I was drunk at a gay bar looking for hookers. Jesus. That's what you're sending me to hell for? Sounds rude. Praying to a fucking entity that's already perfect. Like, Why does he want to listen to what you have to say? Like, what really do you have to offer a perfect being? An omnipotent, perfect being? Like he hasn't fucking already heard everything that you're gonna say once or twice before across the infinite spectrum of time. Yet you're dumb enough to believe that you're somehow gonna appease him by not sucking gay homo penises in a back alley. You know what I say to that? Suck all the gay homo penises in a back alley until you feel fulfilled, until that itch has been scratched. Then and only then should you start to wonder if God is gonna send you to hell. You can just show up to church on your 97th birthday after you no longer get boners anymore. Fucking just hope that he forgives you, I guess. Because doesn't he have the capacity for infinite forgiveness? How does he know whether or not you're lying, like, or whether you're genuine? Because, like, honestly, when it comes to the fear of, like, perpetual darkness, like, aren't you gonna at least try to, like, you know, maybe religion's right. Maybe I'm 96 dying in my bed. I'm gonna give it the old college try and, like, you know, pretend to love Jeebus or whatever. And I mean, I might be genuine in that moment because I might be genuinely afraid of genuinely being tortured for the rest of fucking time. So, at least I wasn't lying in the moment, I guess. That's so stupid. That sounds like a 5-year plan of a Republican. Well, isn't he a him now? Like, because they've disaffirmed their transgenderness? I don't know. This is why I really dislike when people that are super young wanna, like, change their sexuality, like, immediately. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing to, like, change it, but I mean, that's a lot of biological stress you're putting on your body forever. You have to take hormones forever. Oh, I meant gender, not sexuality. I don't think your sexuality can change, honestly. I think everybody's a little bit bisexual, and there's nothing you can do about that. But some people are more towards the extremes of a certain spectrum, like... Let's just do this. I myself am like, I don't know, I would say like 85 and 15. I'm 85% gay, but every once in a year, there's a hot girl that I could conceivably fuck, but I don't, because it just seems like a lot of work. It's a lot easier to bang dudes, in my opinion. Does that mean I'm gay or bisexual? Or an opportunist? Who knows? A Christian would say I'm going to hell. So since I'm going anyway, I might as well test out a bunch of fun stuff with my wiener. Yeah, I mean, scientifically, conversion therapy by any entity never really works. Like, you're still gay. Like, if you're gonna be gay and change to a woman, and the church is gonna perceive you as being gay anyway, why are you gonna try to, like, fulfill their sense of ideals or morals just so that you can be part of their fun little club? Like, it's just all really fucked up societal pressure that I don't think should exist. But a bunch of rich people in the olden timey days before the internet were like, not only am I gonna have absolute power as a king, but I'm gonna make it so that kings are, you know, also in charge of religion. So, like, yeah, you might get away with a couple crimes, but you never get away from anything when the existence of God is a reality. Yeah, you can't undo stuff. Like, surgery isn't an exact, precise thing. You can't undo, like, all these things you're doing to yourself completely. You might be able to some degree, but like that one dude, that Ollie London guy or whatever his name is, like, he doesn't look very natural. And not only that, but I think the more times you do that to yourself, probably the more androgynous you're gonna look. And with all these religious zealots out there, 50% of, you know, the US is Christian nutjobs. Like, how is that gonna satisfy you at that point? Let's just do that, and then Shell Festival, and then a couple shots and you should die. Let's see. But yeah, like, how many times can you tell all the people in your life that you've completely changed and have them continue to accept it? Like, oh, I'm a criminal, I'm not a criminal. I'm a criminal, I'm not a criminal. I'm not comparing being transgender to that, but I am saying, like, let's think about that. If I'm a criminal, and then my family's forgiven me, and then I go commit more crimes, and then they've forgiven me again, and then I go and commit more crimes, like, eventually there's a point where you're like, everything you tell me is a fucking lie. Like, and I imagine some people that are transgender that are flip-flopping that part of their identity, like, that can be problematic for the people that are in their life supporting them. Because, like, how many more times do I have to pay for your gender surgery or whatever? Like, multiple surgeries, rather. It's kind of difficult. Why not find a way to like the self that you were born into first? And worry about whether or not you want to be viewed. I feel like transgender persons are not always, but many times, impacted by the societal lens of their sexuality. So it's kind of like, okay, I'm going to take this scientific way to make me a woman so that nobody calls me a faggot anymore. You know? Like, but how many straight men are like, I'm super straight, I won't have sex with a transgender person? Like, what do you do then? Do you live a lie telling everybody that you were born a biological female, get your name legally changed? Is it ethical to tell people that like, I was a man before, essentially? Well, that happens too. But I feel like that kind of shit has fucking... what's the word? It's flown the coop. All you have to do to figure out that biological men, even with, like, performance de-enhancing things like beta blockers and shit, isn't a good thing, is to just look at, like, tennis professionals, for instance. We've got, like, Venus and Serena Williams. They lost to, like, the 400th best tennis player in the world. That was a guy. So, you have to think about it from the advantage of biology perspective. Like, you can't essentially dose somebody down into being a perfect, what a normal woman would have been. So, I don't think this is a transphobic thing to say either. It's just a biological reality. But can people have gender dysphoria? I mean, the DSM-5 says yes, they can. So, you know, there are going to be people, regardless of whether or not that they're gay or whatever, still wanting to change their gender. So, it's a tricky thing. Like, it's not the same journey for every person, obviously. And honestly, like, there were times myself being a gay person where I thought, like, how much easier would my life have been if I just was a girl who liked sucking dicks instead of a dude who liked sucking dicks. Like, it's complicated, to say the very least. And, like, I think it makes sense, like, if you if society looks at gay people as negative, for you to, you know, want to live a life that's happy and fulfilling, for you to maybe be like, wow, I hate my gender for fucking me up and boring me into this society that fucking hates me just because I want to suck penises. Anybody who wants to suck penises is an awesome person. Leave them the fuck alone. To anyone who's ever had a blowjob, like, come on now. You should be fucking praising every singular entity that wants to suck a dick, because eventually you're gonna want to get yours sucked. So, I don't know. I look at it from a practical perspective. Oh, I should have used the mana garm. What am I doing? Did the internet go out? Yes, it did. Well, that sucks. Well, that's unfortunate. During a speedrun, no less. Thankfully I'm recording this, otherwise this would just be completely moot. The internet's down. There's nothing we can do about it. I don't know, I would just hard reset the router and it should probably be fine, hopefully. Ugh, this is so annoying. Because I was having a fun conversation with a couple different people, and the internet just takes a shit. Awesome. It looks like it's back, but I still haven't reconnected yet, for whatever reason. Someday. Even more hilariously, somehow the music on my YouTube is still playing, so it must have downloaded the whole video or something fast enough, I guess. Fuck it, we're just gonna do this again. Wrong kid. Oopsie. Whatever. Sometimes you use the wrong child as a bullet, I guess. Oh, I'm back on now. That's good. Can't believe my internet fucking crashed in the middle of a speedrun. Yowza. That's life, though. And I'm recording it, so that's a good thing. Oh, and thanks for the follow, Drunk Scoob. I appreciate that. Maybe in 20 more years, I'll eventually get monetized. Someday. What's up, Kumo? What's up, my baby boy? Well, I can't use the mana garm twice, so we are gonna have to kill these douchebags the normal way. Add fury, wrath, and speed. No. I'm not even an affiliate on Twitch, so I don't think they're gonna ban me from it. That would be really fucking weird. Like, oh, this guy gets, on average, 2 viewers per stream. Yeah. I don't think they're coming after me. I'm small time. It reminds me of that line in Resident Evil 4. No, Sadler, you're small time. Shit is hilarious. Oh, fuck. 12 hits. That's not good. Should be paying attention. Ouchie poos. Yeah, we have shit internet in the area that I live in. I have my choice between Cox, which is a horrible monopoly that basically never works, and Verizon, which is a horrible monopoly that works a little bit better than Cox. So, either way, I'm paying a monopoly for substandard services. It's just how it's gotta be, I guess. Let's blow up these motherfuckers, because I need to heal. Air raid. Explodey time. Yeah, exactly. It's wild too, because we have like cable like running straight up to our house. And it's like, how can you bitches not keep our internet working? We're literally connected, like, to a fucking ground cable. Like, why are you such shit? Like, I really wish that all the stupid asshole fucking cable companies didn't buy up all the goddamn internet service providers and then turn into a bunch of little regional monopolies that provide expensive substandard service. Be a better world if we didn't have that situation happening, but we haven't been enforcing monopolies in our country since Reagan got into office, basically. So there's that, I guess. Since before my old bitch ass was born. Oakley dokley. Alright, let's heal our children bullets so that I may use them as bullets again. Children bullets. Just never use more than 6, because you can only heal 6 at a time. And you need 6 in your crew, otherwise you'll lose access to team attacks and other things. And passive bonuses for having them in the back seat and all that good stuff. But yeah, sorry if I missed part of that conversation. What is HRT? Is that like hormone therapy or... Yeah, I honestly think from the science side it needs a lot more research. And from the mental health standpoint, we also need a lot more research. Like, I don't see anything that's wrong with people wanting to change their identity, regardless of how extreme it is. But the more extreme, the more regulation should be in place, in my opinion. So, like I said, it's expensive, and you can't undo it completely, so you better be really fucking sure that's what you want. And centering the focus of your mental health on just your gender, I don't think is the right way to do it. Like, just isn't. But I'm sure there's a lot of people that'd be pissed at me for saying that, so not much I can do about your feelings, obviously. We strike first. We use child bullets. Goodbye. Your death is now certain. Yeah, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. Like, be who you want to be, just know everything you need to know before you do it. Like, changing your gender is not going to necessarily have people viewing you as a heterosexual. There are plenty of straight men out there that are not going to have sex with a transgender person simply out of religious or principles or whatever. So, are you really saving yourself that much grief by changing this? You know, like, you have to kind of see it from all sides. Like, if after a couple years, like, your mind's made up, you're now an adult, there's no other option for you other than suicide, probably a good idea to change it then. But if you're, I don't know, 8, and your mommy says you can be whichever gender you want, and they start putting a bunch of drugs into your body, like, children are fickle. They change their mind. You shouldn't be making permanent decisions when you're a fucking child. Ugh. I should have put Boron in the front and had him attack. Oh well. Should be fine. Yeah, honestly, I think that a lot of people have that misconception. Like, oh, society will like me more if I have a vagina when I suck penises. I don't think that's true. I think trans people are the most vulnerable people in the LGBTQ space. So, you know, you want to join the most vulnerable subset of a population? That doesn't seem like the best way to go, in my opinion. But opinions can be wrong, can't they? You son of beach. Yeah, I mean, that's if you can pass, and that's if you can get your name changed legally, and that's if you have access to really good doctors that can bring you to a point where you're able to pass. Like, discount surgeries are not going to yield the same results, so there's a lot of things to think about before pulling the trigger on that stuff, in my opinion. Like, changing your gender is not some magical fucking shit. A doctor doesn't just have a magic wand and all of a sudden your penis is a vagina and you're really pretty and now you get everything you want. Like, what if they do a bad job? What if you're even uglier than before? Like, what if your body doesn't react well to being dosed with the incorrect hormones? Maybe not even incorrect, but like, what is this all gonna do to you over the entire rest of your lifespan? Is it going to increase your propensity for certain diseases? I don't know all that stuff. I'm not a doctor. It's in its infancy for the most part. Like, if I'm a male to female, I'm not gonna have a fully functioning vagina. I'm not gonna have a uterus. I'm not gonna be able to biologically conceive. I don't think any science that will be created now or in the future will ever change those facts. So you have to, like, really... Do I want kids? Like, should be a factor in this. Yeah. And I don't get the whole, like, aspect of, like, I need to have a big penis to get laid or whatever either. Like, it's such a weird thing to me. Like, because there's all these shitty, like, incel communities and stuff that are like, oh, you're a nerd, like, you're never gonna get laid, and blah, 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 like, so go shoot up a school or something. Like, what? How did we get from adolescent insecurity to murder this fast? Yikes. Like, there are a bevy of sex toys. I've tried many of them. Please experiment with that first before shooting up a school or killing yourself, for the love of God. I mean, the vast majority of persons in society prefer a monogamous relationship. So, like, I'm gonna go and get all the pussy with my new pickup artist skills I don't understand this logic. Because how toxic is that going to be for you moving forward if you just treat one subset of the population like they're just supposed to be your little pregnant sex slave or whatever? I don't think it's a good thing. It's not about the size of the boat, it's about the motion of the ocean. And, like, think of it this way, too. Like, let's say that feminism exists, right? Which it probably does in some capacity. Are women that are wanting to be more empowered, to be female CEOs, etc., are they gonna go for, like, an incel type dude that fucking completely restricts how they want to live their life? I don't think so. I don't think they're gonna, be lining down the block just to suck on your cock, sort of thing. I think you're gonna have a lot of trouble deprogramming yourself and finding somebody who likes you. Oh, a lot of people have skinny penises or micro penis or whatever, and there's a subset of people, like, in the kink community that are into really tiny or skinny penises, so, like, I don't know, like, say you're gay and you're a bottom, like, and you have, like, a really narrow anal canal, because genetics is cruel sometimes. Like, you might be looking for guys with smaller dicks to have sex with. I don't know, maybe you're dating a 100-pound Asian girl. She probably doesn't want a 15-inch dick inside of her. I mean, women in general, it's not about the size of your penis anyway. They have orgasms almost exclusively through clitoral stimulation, so I don't care how big your dick is. If you ain't doing nothing for that clit, you ain't doing nothing anyway. Like, it's just tough shit at that point. So you might want to learn how to actually engage people. Women are a lot more into their emotional side of their brain than men are. So you're going to have to appease that. And then learn how to work a clitoris. The size of your dick is largely not important. Heck, there's a higher percentage of the population in women that are asexual than men are. So if you fall in love with somebody that feels societal pressure to have sex with you vaginally, and then all of a sudden later, years later, they find out that sex isn't really their fucking ball of wax, but you still love them, like, there's other ways to make that shit work. You can have an open relationship. I mean, there are sex toys that are pretty good. I have a lot of them. So, I just really hate this whole, like, idea that, oh, I'm not a man unless I have a penis that would destroy my lover's insides. It's a little bit messed up. Yeah, experimentation is massively important, like, oof. And that's what college is for. That's why I highly recommend everyone go to college and just fucking go on the bang bus and get whatever you can get. Alright, cool. Now I have all 4 of the red skills, so I need to make every other choice blue at this point. Yeah, and some people are into various different things, like, in the kink world, especially, people that have specific kinks are a lot more receptive to their partner being into those kinks than probably their dick size. Unless their kink is gigantic penises that ruin their insides. I don't know. Prolapse is a thing, kids. It's not good for you. Oh yeah, like one of my friends who is heterosexual, he's like, if I wasn't good with my tongue, bitches wouldn't touch me with a fucking 20-foot pole. Like, it's just how it is. Sometimes you need to work on yourself and level up in life a little bit before people will want to touch your ding-dong. And it's like, if you fulfill somebody's emotional and sexual needs, like, they're not gonna give a shit about the size of your dick over time. That's just shallow people shit for the short term. When they first, you know, discover the internet, basically. Ugh, this part of the game is a slog. Oh yeah, I mean, society has told women in general, like, that they shouldn't have pleasure. It's bananas. Like, I've watched documentaries about women, like, wow, I finally learned how to make myself come. It was a really tricky process, and I basically gave up on it for years. So, it's fucked up, but there's still a lot of deep ingrained things in society that are really difficult to change. Sexism, racism, blah 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 blah, all that stuff. Perception of gay people. Like, still to this day, like, I think a lot of straight people, if they have any form of religiousness, think, like, that all gay people are somehow, like, pedophiles. And that, like, kind of blows my mind. I'm like, what? I just don't understand. Especially, like, me, for instance. I'm gay. I'm married to an appropriately aged individual. Like, but straight people will still be, like, looking at you, like, when you're near their kids, like you're gonna fucking rape them or something. I'm like, okay? Like, I've worked with Big Brothers Big Sisters on and off for, like, 17 years, donating my free time to help kids that have grown up in fucked up situations. And, like, at least before, you were required to disclose whether or not you were gay, and parents would use that as a piece of information to decide whether or not they would like you to be spending time with their children, even though we're doing them a favor, essentially. So, it's wild. Let's just mana-garm these bitches. Yeah, like, even in recent times, like, Legoland basically denied, like, any single men from being on their premises. Because, like, apparently all single men want to molest children for some reason. It's not even just strictly a gay thing. Like, it happens in the straight world just as much as it does in the gay world. Like, oh, some unmarried individual is definitely, like, a pedophile for some reason. But then, like, there are married people who, outside of the bounds of their marriage, sneak around and fuck children, so, I mean, you kind of have to look at it from a couple different angles. I need Kyle. Oh my god, what have I done to my team? I'm messing shit up, for sure. Yeah, there we go. Jeebus. Let us do that then. Not all religious people are bad, but there's a lot of judgmental religious people, so religion, I think, gets a bad rap sometimes. But religion also touts a lot of conservative values, too, that I don't necessarily agree with. I mean, I would be a Republican if Republicans were actually Republican, but they are not. Like, they will die by making sure whatever it is that their constituency wants is what they'll get accomplished. Outside of, you know, fair wages, basically. Like, my example for that is like, yeah, it's ridiculous. I forgot where I was going with that. My brain is getting tired. Oh, like with regard to taxes, like there's so many tax loopholes for corporations. Like, corporations are supposed to be double taxed because they have a ridiculously unfair advantage as opposed to, like, let's say a small business owner. But there's so many tax holes where you can invest in other companies at no tax liability and various other things like that. Like, you can lie and say all my intellectual property was created in fucking, I don't know, Malaysia, where there's, like, no taxes. Even though, like, a very highly intelligent engineer in the US is the person that develops the intellectual property. Like, how is it ethical or correct for organizations to lie to avoid taxes? Like, just blows my mind. Yeah, and elected officials now, I think you weren't on the stream when I was talking about this earlier, like, the whole situation with that is like lobbying. Like, you get in good with a lobbyist and you're willing to forsake your morals or whatever, and you can very, very easily become a permanent politician, and that lobbyist is going to pay for all your campaigns forever until you die, basically, as long as you keep allowing that organization to slip whatever bullshit into bills that it shouldn't be in the first place. And I mean, like, again, to your point, like, political parties definitely shouldn't be a thing. Damn it, I forgot where I was going with that, too. Trying to speedrun and be smart at the same time is not easy. What am I doing? I'm doing it all wrong. Doing it wrong. Alright, let's do this. What the hell? There we go. My controller is being a little wonky. I saw a YouTube video that there's a way you can fix controller drift on the early PS5 controllers. So I need to do that. But yeah, it speaks to like gerrymandering and stuff as well, because like political parties love to gerrymander. Well, I've had it for a couple years at this point. I got PS5 on release day. Not a brag, just a fact. So I know it's a problem with the earlier PS5 controllers more than it is the newer ones. That's the problem about being an early adopter. You always almost... You're the test subject for the rest of the population, essentially. Then they fix all their broken shit and then release it for even cheaper, because usually hardware goes down in cost over time. Which way are we going? That's good. Mine is just my left joystick is having trouble for whatever reason. And I have two controllers, so I should just use the other one, but my other controller is hooked up to my PC to play games, and then my other controller is synced to my PS5, so I don't want to like switch them around because it's annoying to like put my controller into frickin'... Nah, that wouldn't work. I don't like destroying my own money. I never really got the whole like, I'm angry so I'm gonna destroy my own fucking property like thing. Like, I'm so mad at this video game, I'm gonna throw my Wiimote at my plasma screen or whatever. Who does this serve? Like, maybe it provided you with a very brief respite of your anger, but like, aren't you just gonna be even more mad at yourself for fucking destroying your own fucking economic shit? Like, I don't know. But I've never had to go to an anger management class before, so clearly I don't see all the angles with that. If you haven't experienced something in life, for the most part, people tend to ignore it or chastise it because they haven't had to experience it, so they're better than whatever that situation is. It's amazing the way people think. Have a good night. Sleep is good. Always get sleep. Bad sleep equals bad mental health equals school shootings, so I don't know. Definitely sleep. Wrong attack. Oopsie. If I was smart, I'd be mana-garming these enemies, but... yeah. Have a good night. I think I got too wrapped up in the fun conversations instead of, you know, like, killing stuff fast. That's okay, though. I still think this is gonna be a PB either way, so... That's the thing. You keep running games and you keep getting better. You stop running them and you get worse. And I was on vacation for like a week, so... But the speedrunning Discord I was in also has found out some new tricks and stuff, so that's always good. No, I actually like the company. Like, even if I don't have the most optimal run in the world, like, I'd still rather have the conversation in the company while doing something that can be a little bit monotonous / tedious. Alright, let's see here. Actually, it's best just to use the Mana-Garm first in this fight. So, that's what I'm gonna do. Otherwise you have to endure that like 8 or 9 times. It gets really, really old. Oof. These gourmet water not YouTubers, TikTokers, like, blow my mind. I can't fathom how people just drink these, like, diabetes waters. Like, what the hell are you actually doing? Shit is bananas. Alright, I need these 2 bitches in front, which they now are. Fabulous. Hopefully that dickhead doesn't heal the armor right away. You piece of shit. That's exactly what I didn't want to happen. Alright, let's do this. Alright, hopefully Earthquake ends this. Otherwise that thing's gonna get a bunch of turns and waste a bunch of my time. There we go. Like, if I drink a Diet Coke, like, I feel dehydrated, so... Maybe it's just me, but I like my water like I like my bitches. Plain. Hi, doggies! Why are we barking? What are you attempting to alert me to, my furry children? What's up, Mr. Kumos? Is this a baby boy? Is this a fluffy child? Is that what this is? Hello. Hello, evil baby. You just needed some attention. Daddy's right here. I don't get why people care that much. Like, why do you care how other people are fucking? Like, doesn't make sense to me. Like, straight people have kinks, gay people have kinks. Not everybody likes all the kinks. Why do you want to stop this particular kink when it does not affect you in any real way? Is it so you can protect your child from exploring their kinks when they become an adult? Because I have a feeling a lot of shit is biological, like, they just gonna do whatever it is they think is best, so. Just blows my mind, like, the lengths that people go to protect one another from arbitrary shit that likely isn't going to work, so it's just a little strange to me. I don't like blowjobs, so I'm gonna try to make them illegal. Who the fuck doesn't like blowjobs? I don't trust you already. Fuck off. Yeah, I don't like oral sex. I don't like when people are into feet or foreskin or this or that. Wah. Then don't do it, bitch. Nobody's gonna make you. People with kinks are like some of the nicest people I've ever met. Like, they're like, hey, I'm into X, Y, and Z and maybe LMNOP, but I don't expect you to do this because I know not everybody's into this or whatever. Like 99 times out of 100, that's what kinky people are gonna say to you. They don't want to bring you into something that you're not gonna enjoy, because if there's one person having sex that's not enjoying it, it's gonna impact the other person having sex from enjoying it as well. So, oof. Like, you can kind of have a sense about people when they're just laying there and pretending to like it versus actively being engaged, so why are we here? Like, let's blow these motherfuckers away. Or let's just blow these motherfuckers. Whichever you prefer, darling. Giga Claw. I had a little bit of talking too much disease earlier in this, so now it's time for hydration. Got my electrolytes. So tasty. So good. My gourmet water. Just 73 pumps of delicious carbohydrates. Alright, go away. Go away. Go away. I'm doing a speedrun. Don't care. Leave me alone. I think now it lets me skip. Yep. Oh my god. Come on, game. Let's go. I have, what, 3, 4, 5, 6 enemies left, and most of them are boss-grade material, so... time to murder. Actually, there might be more enemies than that. This is a 3-stage fight. That enemy isn't that bad to get rid of, so let's do... this. There we go. Shazam! Those aren't so bad. Let's have him do that. And then we'll use the Manic Arm on the third fight. Son bitch. Missed. With a 90% chance to hit. Lame. Yep, this is definitely a Manic Arm fight. Goodbye, children. It's kind of weird to me, like, the whole God thing, like, if God is a perfect entity, why does it have wants? You'd think if something's perfect, all its wants would be automatically fulfilled. So, it kind of, like, puts a hamper on the logic of free will for me. Because if God is perfect, all his wants are already being, you know, attended to, essentially. So... God, in my opinion, then, would be interested in, like, the SMT chaos endings in video games, because he's made people that don't get along with each other. He's invented people with different races that hate each other for that sole reason, and religions, and all kinds of stuff. Like, if you've brought all of this into being, and were unable to, with your perfect self, anticipate that you have created troubles for the people that you supposedly love so much, and then, you know, also at the same time decide to put them through a lifelong test of, you know, being a good little boy or girl. Like, what the actual fuck? This doesn't sound like somebody I'd even want to be friends with at that point. Like, so let me get this straight. If I do anything you don't like, you're sending me to hell. But you love me? I think the average human has more love for mankind than you do for them. Like, damn. Some shady shit. Hey. You're crazy, bitch, but you fuck so good I'm on top of it. When I dream, I'm doing you all night. That is Buck Cherry. I forget what song it is, and I don't know why it just randomly popped into my head, but that's just what we're all dealing with right now, I guess. Let us fling a child at this gigantic leg, in hopes that we destroy it. Smash. Oh, that sucks. That's the opposite of what I wanted you to do right there. Like, that action appearing right there was just a time waste. I've actually been debating whether or not I'm going to do a run without trying to learn some of those skills, because they do sometimes waste time on a New Game Plus speedrun where you're just so powerful that you don't need the additional help, sort of a thing. Alright, is this the spine or is this something else? I can't remember. Nope, Managarm time. Do you really feel comfortable loading a child into the chamber of this tank as a goddamn bullet? Select here for yes. Kablam. Oof, there's more fights than I thought. No, this one, and then that one, and then the boss maybe? I don't know. I know nothing. Managarm! Goodbye, girl with flower hat. We will let you sleep, and that will somehow rescue you from this cruel fate. Yep, this is the spine and then the boss with its, like, 4 phases, and then we're done. Not too shabby. Our IGT might actually even be, like, sub 230. We'll see how it turns out. It might be a little bit over. Who knows? I know nothing. I am going to use the ginger as a bullet this time. Oh! Kablamo. Die, motherfucker, die, motherfucker, die. Nice. That's a good job. We didn't get another run of reinforcements like I did in my last playthrough. Alright, game, come on. I drank like 50 ounces of water. I need to pee. Gotta get this shit done. Oh yeah, final boss time. Need to get my mouse ready so I can turn live split off. Alrighty, let's just do it. Sacrifice the children. Heck yeah. I thought it was a pretty good game. The plot had some leveling up it needed to do for sure, but the gameplay, I feel like they added enough new stuff to make it more fun, so nothing wrong with that. I honestly thought they should have had more weakness icons, and then have like the multi-hit attacks be able to destroy a multitude of the weakness icons. That would have made it a little bit more strategic, I think. But we can't always get what we want. But yeah, I love all the hand-drawn animation, like pictures and stuff. Like the art style is just awesome. There should be more people who do stuff like that. It's not all about like pristine graphics, in my opinion. Like, sometimes it's just nice to have good illustrators. Oh yeah. Actually, let's do that. Because Earthquake won't hit this thing multiple times. So it's better to have our Cannoneers and knock this puppy out. Cannoneers. Is that a word? I don't know. Our cannon buddies. Alright. One more health bar to go, I think. Ugh, too bad we can't use it twice, right? Ugh. This thing takes forever to, like, have its body parts die. It's a pain in the ass. Alright, I need to change my people to blue, so hurry up with your bad self. We don't want her there. Go action blue. Why not? Yeah, you can use items. I don't think they're terribly useful, honestly, in this run. Outside of maybe the increasing your team attack speed. But it's still, at the end of the day, wastes a turn, so... like, additional turns for you means additional turns for the enemy, which... and since the enemies almost always, use skills that have charge ups and shit like that, it wastes your time to give your enemies more turns, so I try to not do that. Alright, now everybody's got some crit hit potential. IGT should be a little bit over 230-ish. What am I doing? My brain is just tired at this point. Definitely a PB. Woo, woo, woo. Once I kill this bitch, anyway. Oh, it brought his buddies back to life. That's not ideal. And it got its armor back. Ugh. Now we just gotta wait a half an hour for his eyeball to stop flashing. Sheeshish. Sheeshish Christ. It won't matter, because that thing isn't going to get a turn anyway. Alrighty, let's see, Meower. Let us do that. Let us do this. And he should probably get an immediate turn. Nope, not yet. But it will. Yep, never mind. I love how that skill's like, oh, you get an immediate turn. But I took him under 50%, so the boss actually did. Such rudeness. Ah, shit. I'm probably gonna get an annoying pop-up for the soul cannon now. Nope, got lucky. But yeah, that's why I like the red skills the most. That one more time skill is just ridiculous. And sometimes it'll proc like 3 fucking times in a row. And Sheena's hero mode is even more ridiculous. Like, if you get her red hero mode from the golden potty, she can act 10 times in a row. It's ridiculous. I highly doubt this boss is getting another turn, but whatever. Yep, that's what I thought. Alright, that's it. Let's stop that split. How do I stop this damn thing? I don't use it very often. Control. Pause. There we go. Let's see what our IGT is. But yeah, that was like a 45-minute improvement on my last run, so that's pretty huge. Or maybe not, I don't remember. I'll figure it out when I upload it to speedrun.com in like a couple hours. I wonder if there's actually less cutscenes if I purposely choose the bad ending. Because that actually could be useful to save a very minute amount of time. And I wish you could avoid all the red and blue questions, because the run ends when you final hit on the final boss. Run starts when you load your save file for New Game Plus, or just when you click New Game and get through all the prompts. It should be up on speedrun.com that way, I think. That's how I just copied and pasted basically what they did on the first game. Because I assumed, like, with already established rules, you don't want to piss off the existing community with some dumb bullshit, so I tried to avoid that. Let's see what kind of IGT we got. Yeah, you know what? It's probably faster just to sacrifice Malt, because there's an there's 2 epilogues on New Game Plus when you beat the game. There's the basically like teaser for Fuga 3, and then there's the resolution thing too, so it's multitude of extra skippable cutscenes. Alright, what did we get IGT wise? I don't know. I'll have to do the math later. But anyways, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.